Well, it's supposed to be parking lot Tuesday, and it will be in just as soon as I'm through here. But I'm going to share a little bit of a day in the life of DuQuette. Uh, Went out to the car early this morning. It's all full of dew and things like that. So I got a squeegee. It's a Vanagon, so I have to squeegee all the windows and stuff. And as I was going around the back of the car, I noticed on the sidewalk was a big plastic cap. And I recognized it as the cap that goes on the top of my overfill tank in my car. Now, right under the back license plate, you pull the license plate down, and you see that overfill tank. It's an air-cooled thing, so there is coolant, but well, it's a long story. And it was off. That was my overfill tank. And then I looked, and my oil cap was missing. And that's not good. Okay, someone stole my oil cap and assaulted my overfill tank cap. And so I would now I've heard about people stealing gasoline. People steal gas. That's why you have a little lock on your gas. But I have never heard about anybody stealing oil or oil caps. And not only that, when Constance came out to see, because I was worried that perhaps they had polluted my oil thing. It recently rained here, so the sidewalks are wet, and you could see sort of what looked sort of like serpentine oil slick going down the sidewalk for about a half a block. I mean, like somebody was squirting or peeing or doing something. And so then I really became worried that perhaps they had put something in and, oh, gee. So I called my mechanic, the one that the one that I support, okay, to keep my car running. And he says, well, if it starts okay, stuff a rag in that and drive over and we'll check it over right now. So and Constance is waiting. She's got her puppies all heated up and in the hot puppy bag and all ready for a day of shopping. We got to go to the post office because Christmas cards and gifts to Japan and things like that. Had a big day ahead of us. And so I just came back from still dressed up, just came back from the Combi House. I'll give them a plug, Combi House in Sacramento. They do take good care of me. And they looked at it, said, oh, we can find you an oil cap. They checked the level of fluid in the overfill tank. It's okay. Checked my oil. My oil is still very clean and right at the full mark, right where they put it when they changed the oil last week. And so I'm relieved. Okay. And whatever happened, there are unfortunate people in Sacramento. There is a whole city's worth of unfortunate people in Sacramento, and it's been cold and it's been wet. And if I had to live on the streets for 10 minutes, like they do day after day, night after night, freezing night after freezing night, I would go crazy and fuck people's oil thing too. Okay. So, I'm not mad or indignant. And as a matter of fact, I just feel lucky that it wasn't vandalized more damagingly mindless. Uh, so I came back in time to do grab Constance and go to parking lot number 1, but it's already, past time for the show. Constance is filling out a few more Christmas cards and says, do your show here today. So here I am. And that's pretty much all of the show is my two things. I want to talk about faith. Faith ain't what it used to be. Okay, you can, when people want to talk about Thelema or want to talk about the Gnostic Church or the, philosophy of magic and such, every once in a while, I'll hear somebody say, well, in my faith of Thelema, well, it sounds good, okay? It sounds, especially to others, for whom we would like to think that that Thelema is as important to us as other people's religion is to them. So, I can understand, say, well, my faith of Thelema says, do what thou wilt shall be the whole. Yeah. But I've always cringed when I hear somebody call it a faith, because it's not a faith. Okay, if by that you mean certainty, not faith, while in life. Okay, and so I was racking my brains, and I thought, well, somewhere Crowley says really, really kind of cool things about that very subject, and it's in Magic Without Tears. Okay, and I'm not going to read his whole letter back to this one, but I am going to read just a little bit of it, because faith ain't what it used to be. Okay, in the age of Horus, in the Aeon of Horus, and then hopefully making way for the Aeon of Mot, faith ain't what it used to be. I love the way these letters start out. They start out all lighthearted. Dear Soror, Cara Soror, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Dear me, this is very unexpected. I wrote you a long while ago about doubt, and now I suppose the seed fell in fertile ground. My chaste remarks have prompted a new question, quote, and he's quoting her letter to him, which is always refreshing because we don't know what she wrote to him. We don't have her letters. But here's what she said, quote, arising out of the previous answer, sir. You point out quite correctly that the doubt of which I wrote in passages of such burning eloquence is, after all, what used to be called philosophic doubt. And by philosophic, people apparently meant something rather like Pickwickians. Let me see if I can turn the page here. Not the genuine McCoy determining action, but, well, rather like scoring points in an intellectual game. Okay, now then, Air Canoe, okay, what is faith? And do you think I digress? Okay, Crowley's digressions are long and awesome, but I'm going to skip ahead. There are two kinds of faith. They're almost opposites. I'll skip down. Faith, in its meaning number one, was perfectly well defined by the schoolboy. Quote, the faculty of believing what we which, excuse me, my oral interp here. Defined by the schoolboy, the faculty of believing that which we know to be untrue. Unquote. It is at least the acceptance of any statement as true without criticism, examination, verification, or any other method of test. Faith of this sort is evidently the main symptom of the moron, the half-wit, the village idiot. It is this kind of faith upon the possession and exercise of which religious persons always insist as the first condition of salvation. Here is my own lamentable foresight on the subject. And here's a little essay he wrote, or it's a poem. The Convert, 100 years hence. Now, probably when he wrote this was 100 years ago. He probably wrote this, before the 20s, but this poem, not this letter, okay? But the title is The Convert, 100 years hence. There met one eve in a sylvan glade a horrible man and a beautiful maid. Where are you going, so meek and so holy? I'm going to temple to worship Crowley. Crowley is God, then? How do you know? Why, it's Captain Fuller told us so. And how do you know that Fuller was right? I'm afraid you're a wicked man. Good night. Well, that's the end of that. While this sort of thing is styled success, I shall not count failure bitterness. That's the last line. Sometimes, note well, they are even frank about it. They say plainly that there would be no merit in it if there were any reasonable basis for it. Well, it's only good faith if you know there's no reason to believe it. Now, I got to blame Paul for a lot of that shit in Christianity anyway. This position is at worst both honest and intellectual and intelligible. The only trouble is that there is no possible means of deciding which of the two conflicting statements are true. In faith of this kind, there are, of course, in practice, delicately shaded degrees. These depend mostly upon the authority of the speaker and your relations with and opinion of him. In those days, it was mostly him. In practice, moreover, faith is usually tinged, should I say clouded, by questions of probability. I see no need to weary you with examples of varying degrees. It's enough to dismiss the subject with the remark that faith is not true faith if any considerations of any kind sully its virgin nullity. And for that reason, I think it's extra despicable when someone tries to defend the indefensible, to say that the universe was created in 6 days, by dragging in some kind of scientific reasons why it could have all happened that way. As if their faith wasn't strong enough to not bring in a secular authority. But anyway, what other kind of faith? Or the other kind, so there was two. So this, what of the other kind of faith? Like its hostile twin, it must have no truck with reason, at least no conscious truck, or it ceases to possess a moral meaning. It is that confidence in oneself which assures one that the long shot at a tiger will fly true to the mark, that the tricky putt will go down, that the man one never beat before will go down this time. Also, its horrid contrary, the moral certainty that something will go wrong with the easiest problems, with 100 to 1 in one's favor. I think the official answer is that one's certainty is in reality based on subconscious calculation, so that faith has nothing whatsoever to do with it. If there is any answer to this, I don't know it. After all, that is neither here nor there. There is but one material issue: how to acquire that kind of faith. Suppose we hunt it up in that precious book of lies. Any luck? Sure. Kiddums, here we are. Steeped horsehair. And this is from Crowley's Book of Lies. Mind is a dis-ease of semen. All that a man is or may be is hidden therein. Bodily functions are part of the machine, silent unless in dis-ease. But mind, never at cease, creaketh I. This I persisteth not, posteth not through generations, changes momentarily, finally is dead. Therefore is man only himself when lost to himself in the charioting. Nothing in that to contradict the official view is there. Nothing in biology either. And then he quotes Blake. If the sun and moon should doubt, they would immediately go out. Or in that other chapter of the Book of the Laws, Book of Lies, the Mountaineer, consciousness is a symptom of disease. All that moves well moves without will. All skillfulness, all strain, all intention is contrary to ease. Practice 1,000 times, it becomes difficult. 1,000,000, it becomes easy. 1,000,000,000 times 1,000,000, it is no longer thou that doeth it, but it that doeth itself through thee. Not until then is that which is done well done. Thus spoke Frater Perdurabo as he leapt from rock to rock of the mountains without ever casting eyes upon the ground. Or in the Book of the Law, you know the passage well enough. Conclusion. This discussion has forever abolished the use of the word faith to imply conscious belief of any sort. At least, if there should ever be an element of awareness, it is the nature of a sudden leap into daylight of the quintessence of a mass of subconsciously selected and ordered experience. Don't talk to me about your faith. Okay. Anyway, that's that's it. Okay, for parking lot Tuesday, um, I may check in with postings as I sit in the next three parking lots, but I may just let you get on with your day and your holiday shopping. So until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.